Welcome back. Goose Green, Multi-Man Publishing, TCS System, Tactical Combat Series or System or whatever it stands for. I thought what would be useful, since I've had a couple of questions and seen folks playing other modules and they were struggling with or wondering how to best execute assaults where they didn't end up dying in that assault. And perhaps Goose Green is a good way for us to explore some of that. And let's see if I can sort of shed a little bit of light. And also maybe that will give other people an opportunity to share how they go about it as well, because there's obviously lots of different ways to skin the cat. So let's just assume, and I've moved some counters around and put things in sort of a hypothetical situation, and probably the ranges would be a little bit different, but just to keep it all nice and up close on the camera, make it easy for you to see, I've sort of shrunk everybody in fairly close here. So let's assume that it is the action phase and that the Brits have the initiative, and so they get to go first in the action phase. And the first thing they want to do is they want to try and take out this Argentinian dude on Coronation Ridge here, and let's, for sake of the argument, we'll look at them as dug in, and they may or may not be in the game. But anyway, we're going to try and work out how to assault this particular hex and clear it and see what happens. And we'll go through all the die rolling and all that sort of good fun stuff. So first things first, I would probably want to not just rush in, because if I do, I'm going to get shot at. So if this guy were just to go 1, 2, 3, 4 assault, he's going to get overwatch fire here, here, and then here. And then he'll probably also get that final overwatch fire again, assuming he doesn't become suppressed somewhere along the way into closing. So how do we put some pressure on this hex and have these guys keep their heads down and not shoot at us as we charge into the trenches, as the case may be? So we can do a couple of different things. We could run an artillery barrage on this hex, and in this particular module, given that the ammo is very tight, where we probably don't want to do that, I could fire at this stack. This stack could fire at this stack here at the defenders and attempt to suppress or paralyze them. Or I've got a mortar here off screen. I could try and mortar them, but once again, with only I think 8 shots with the mortar, we're not in a position to really waste that particular effort, right? So let's go bang bang at the bad guys and see if we can't neutralize them. So I'm going to roll 2 dice and see what the result is. All right, well, it's a 64, so this will do what we need it to do more than likely. Probably end up making these guys run away, but we won't do that. We won't make them run away for the purpose of the exercise. So I'm going to pull out my fire charts here, and I'm using a modified set of charts, but they're in essence completely identical. They've just been rearranged for various reasons, and it doesn't matter why. But so just bear with me, because I can't find the standard charts at the moment. So we've got 14 strength, 2 sevens, 14, and I'm 1, 2, 3, 3 range. Let's assume, so 3 range is not going to give me any benefit because I'm at range 3, and so that's 0 mods to the columns. They're dug in and not moving. That's going to give them the defender -2. Sorry, is that right? Yes, -2. So we're going to go down to the 9 to 10 column, and I rolled a 64. And I believe there are not going to be any other modifiers, no area stacking point modifiers, no illume or any of that other stuff, and they're not suppressed, and the fire is not suppressed, and there's no crossfire, and there's no artillery, blah, 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 all that. So we rolled 64. Well, that's going to cause a 1-step loss and a morale check, and I'll show you the result here. Nobody panic, here we go. Blah, 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 blah. 9, 10 column, 64. You go across there, and it says -1 step. So I'm going to do a morale check. And no matter what the morale check is, just FYI, we're going to leave these guys in place if it's an SYR. And 31 is probably going to be good enough to get the sort of result we want. So 31. Now they've got a morale of 5. They just took a step loss. That pops it up to 6. But they're dug in. So that's going to bring it down 2. So they're going to be on the 4 column. And what did I say I rolled? 31. 31 is going to be, no effect. So if this was a turn, a proper turn, so we'll put up a 1 loss marker. Where are the ones? Don't tell me. All right. I would probably say, you know what, guys? I'm not going to attack. I'm not going to close assault this turn because I haven't been able to get the suppression result. So let's just assume that I roll something higher. There we go. A 51 for that morale check. And I said it was on the 4 column, right? 51. Right. So now they're suppressed. Not as ideal, because I really would prefer a paralyze result. And I'll tell you why in a minute. So they're suppressed now, okay? Oh, gosh, the light is moving. Sorry about that. Maybe I can move the board a little bit. No, it's not going to make a difference. This is one of the challenges of being in our temporary accommodations. This is the only place I've got to play. There, that's a little bit better. All right, so 1 step loss, suppressed. Now, I may have other things I need to go do, so I might go do those other things. So that was an SFA, right? So he's fired. And I may go do those other things, move other units or whatnot, and kind of take it from there. But let's just assume now the next thing I want to do is, now that they're suppressed, I want to move these guys up and close assault. So because they're suppressed, they're not going to be able to do Overwatch of any kind. Suppressed units may not change mode voluntarily, breach minefields, voluntary mount or dismount, conduct a voluntary SYR, save yourself retreat, observe for mortars, artillery, or sorties. Suppressed units may fire SFAs and PFAs, and they may fire during an assault or an overrun. And they may also do AT rolls. All right, so we can now advance. So we just go 1, 2, 3, and we get to here. We're going to move there. Now, let's go to the sequence of play for an assault combat, and we'll just walk through every single step, just in case I foobar it. So the attacker announces his intention to assault. We just did that. It must be in move mode and adjacent to the target hex, so now we are. Defending unit has 1 final Overwatch trigger at the assaulting stack before it enters the target hex. Any unit in the target hex that is not suppressed or paralyzed is capable of doing that. So, no final Overwatch fire, right? So let's just keep reading the rule. In this final Overwatch fire, at his option, defending player may he do a voluntary, but he can't because he's suppressed. If I had other units in the area, they could have Overwatch fired on the way in. However, there are none. So now he goes into the hex. All right. If the attacker did not receive a suppression, paralyzed, or SYR in step 2, which is what the step we just read about, move the assaulting stack into the target hex and remove any suppressed markers. Right. So now this comes off. And which, if it was paralyzed, it wouldn't be removed. And that's where we like to get people paralyzed. It will make a significant difference, as you will see. Do not remove paralyzed marker. Okay. Then if the target hex, let's skip that because it's talking about RD zones and mines. That's points 4 and 5. If in steps 2, 4, or 5, the attacker receives a suppressed, paralyzed, or SYR, or is eliminated, the assault ends. None of that has happened. Okay, so now determine the fire order is step 6. If none of the units on one side are suppressed or paralyzed, and if any unit of either side is suppressed or paralyzed, the side with no suppression markers fires first. We've removed the suppression marker. Both sides will get to fire simultaneously. Okay? So, we're going to roll for the Brits first. and they rolled a paltry 16. So that's going to be a no effect. We're not even going to have to look that up, but I will check it just because we're being legit. 7, and even we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there. I'm just looking to see if this will make a difference to the result. Yeah, it's going to be no effect. So no effect. Let's see what the Argies do. 66. Well, that's the best result you can get for the Argentinians with a strength of 4. So now let's work out what the actual result is, right? So strength of 4. They're in the same hex, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 columns to the right. That's going to put us on the 7, 8 column. There's no area stacking mods because it's only 5 steps. So British, they are, however, moving in the open. So it's going to put us up +2 on the 11 to 13 column. And a 66 is going to be a 3-step loss. Man, that's brutal. All right. Morale check. I rolled at 25. We are morale 1 plus 3 steps is going to put us 4, 25, no effect. I'll show you that. Morale 1, it goes up 3 for the step losses to 4. 11 through 33 is no effect. Not bad. Tough Brits. They're charging in anyway. So what happens now? Well, now, since both sides are still in the hex, this guy now gets to flip to his non-moving mode. And he hangs tough in there. And we are going to go back to the rules and just confirm that we've done everything correctly. Okay, so side with no paralyzed stuff fires first. We fire and resolve simultaneously. Talks about AT fires and P fires. We don't need to worry about that at the moment. Conduct any of the morale checks and vehicle checks once all the fires have been resolved, with the assaulting player checking morale first. Right. Because if he SYR'd, then the defender would not need to do a morale check, and he would be in good shape. Okay, mounted units, we're not going to deal with that. Conduct further rounds of assault, combat, and repeat steps 6 through 7 until one side or the other is eliminated or conducts an SYR, all right? Leaving only one unit or one force in this hex. So we both are going to roll for this attack again now, and I'm just going to roll both sets of dice at the same time, and then we'll work out the bits and pieces. And this time it'll be a little bit different, a little more effective for the allies, for the Brits. So Brits have got a roll of 54. Well, let's do this guy first because I'm pretty sure this will be a no effect. Or maybe a morale check. So 24 with a 4. And let's just have a look at the table here, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see a little bit more. So that we're in the same hex, infantry fire, we get a +4 to the columns. And now that the Brits have flipped themselves over from move to fire, they're in the open, there are no column shifts, okay? So we go down to 4 here, and we look at that, and we go up 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, to 9 to 10 column. And we see that I rolled, what did I say, 24? So I think that's going to be a morale check. Ooh, he goes all the way across there. No effect. The white's no effect. Yeah, 24. So no effect for them. But we now have a 54 for these guys with a strength of 7 and +4 columns. But and this is where, I always get a little confused with the terrain mods. Because they're in the same hex, do they still get the advantages of the dug in and all that? And I always sort of second guess myself here. But there are going to be 2 shifts to the left for being dug in, and that's just kind of how it is. There are no suppression mods or anything else. So, and there are no area target stacking mods. You'll notice the asterisks there, and that would affect both sides. Because that's only for artillery and mortar fire. So we said we had a 7. We go up 4 and down 2. So we go up net 2 to the 11 to 13 column, and we rolled a 50 something. So 46 to 64, we go across, and it's a 1-step loss. So this dude loses a step, and now he's at 2. So he has a 5, a 7, but he goes down 2 for being dug in. So that puts it back to a 5, and we're going to roll for morale for him. And that is not a good roll. 45 on what did I say, a 5? Okay, it's just another suppression. All right, so we're going to put that suppression back on there now. So we would have to do a 3rd round of combat. So here we go. Let me see if I, okay. Well, this will be the end of this combat. 63, oh, and that's not good. That's a 51 as well. So that could be more losses for the Allies. But this combat is resolved first because this guy is suppressed. And in fact, another suppression here, or is it going to be, let's just not worry about that right now. So 63. Let's resolve that. And I said it was a 7, and it goes up 2, down 2, so it goes on the 11 to 13, and I roll the 63. Well, what do you know? Okay, that's only, is that right? 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, then down 2, oh, down 1, 2, yep, 64 is only going to put 1 step loss on. Goodness me, these guys are lucky. All right, but that's going to pop them up to 3 here, like so. Now we're going to have to do a morale check. So that's not, so we're actually, so we've got to check this roll now. A 50, a 51 on a 4, up 4 for being close. I said a 51. Morale check. All right. So morale, so attacker has to do a morale check first. And he rolls a 24, so he's going to be fine. Now we do the defender's morale check. 62, right? 62 on a, he now has an 8, minus 2 for being dug in is a 6. A 62 is paralyzed. So, where is paralyzed? So we're going to just grab another marker just to so we can see this. Where are all the freaking markers, bro? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I'm going to put that here like this. So this is what's interesting here, and it is just a minor cause for concern. Rule 22, subsection C. Units which become suppressed during a round of assault combat and which receive another suppressed result when checking morale in a later round of the assault must execute an SYR or lose a step from the largest unit as per Rule 10 at the owning player's discretion. Paralyzed units which receive a suppressed result during a round of assault combat must conduct an SYR. If they receive a second paralyzed result, they immediately surrender. Now, what this doesn't cover is a suppression and then a paralyzed. Now, in my mind, a paralyzed, if I'm already suppressed and I receive something that's equivalent to another suppression or worse, I would probably be forced to conduct an SYR. That's how I've always read that, a save yourself retreat. And a save yourself retreat is lose half of your remaining steps, retreat 3 hexes, and then you flip yourself over from move mode to fire mode and you sit. So it would be this guy would go 1, 2, 3 in move mode. He would suffer overwatch fire as he ran away, and then he would flip over to fire mode and be suppressed, I believe. So it's suppressed or paralyzed. It doesn't really matter at this point. So this guy, I believe now he has 2 steps left, so he would lose 1 step more, and then he would run away, and he would go, if he was in this hex here, he would move to here, and then these guys could shoot at him, and they would roll 2 dice, and we would, let's assume that we didn't roll a 12, and then we actually roll something half decent. Let's call it 32 instead of 12. say I rolled 32 and got on 7. Now he's at 2 hex range, so I'm going to get plus 2 columns. So it's going to pop me up to here, and a 32 would be a morale check. And I would do another morale check there, and I may receive another SYR. I don't, I receive a suppression. So he finishes his 3 steps, and then he becomes suppressed anyway. So now that the light has moved again, sorry guys. So that's an assault, and that's how I approach them. As you can see, still very deadly for both sides. Would have been quite different, I believe, if we had got the paralyzed first, and or if this guy was not dug in, there'd be no 2 shifts to the left on the firing for the British as they were fighting in the hex with the enemy. You know, as they were both in this hex here, right? That would have helped significantly. So anyway, look, just a quick look at close assault. Please provide some commentary and reactions if there are mistakes there. We'd like to know, of course, and we will correct it and make notes in the comments to that effect. All the very best. Talk to you soon.